My bad. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Metaphysical Happy Hour. I'm your host, Cassie Clayton.
I'm your co-host, Tracy Escobar. Hey!
Hello.
So first I gotta say, I'm traveling, so I'm having to make do with what I have. So I'm coming to you straight from a bathroom because it's the only lighting I have here. So I apologize in advance.
There you go.
Yay, how are you?
I'm doing good.
I feel like we haven't talked in like forever.
I know.
It's
I feel like sometimes this is like the only time we see each other.
It's the only time, like now. It's like so busy right now. I don't even know what this energy is about, but I'm like slammed to the wall every day almost. It's crazy. And you?
I've been busy. Got a lot of different projects going, things like that. I also have a new
You have a new one?
I have a new cuddly.
No fair.
Yeah, my cousin had a litter of kittens, and I got this one. This one's Merlin. And my sister got two of the other kittens in the litter. So
a new pet on the show.
Yeah, we have a new pet on the show.
Yay! So, hi, Merlin. Oh, he's cute.
He's being very cuddly. Yeah, that and basically working. That is pretty much what I'm doing.
That's it.
But things are going really, really good. So I'm
good to hear. Yeah, that's so good to hear. Me too. Moving, new jobs coming, just a lot of things. I am going to be writing in a new book that's coming up too. So lots on my plate. I know. I get to write a chapter in it. What do they call it? A compilation book? What is it? I don't know the C word, but there's a C word. Anyway, yeah, I get to write a whole chapter in that. So that's kind of going on. Yeah, so it's been pretty busy. Busy. But it's shameless plug time. Do you have any shameless plugs for you?
I honestly, I don't have any shameless plugs going on for me. I've just been, as always, I help spiritual light workers with their websites, logos, and graphics. We will actually, I will say this, because with your new show, yes, we will be having a new landing site coming to your show or coming to your website. As well as some of the other items that we've had on a couple different platforms. They're going to be natively going to the website as well. So we have new things coming up for Tracy's site. That's my shameless plug. How about that?
Cassie, I'm telling y'all. She keeps me in line. Like today, right before the show, I'm like, Cassie, do I have anything this weekend? She'd go, yeah, you do. I'm like, oh, thank you, because I don't remember.
Exactly.
I'm at the point where I need an assistant, I think. It's just getting so overwhelming. So my shameless plug time. I do have a class, I think, on Sunday, Miracles of Joy. It's just a mediumship class this weekend.
You do? It's June 25th.
June 25th. And I think we've changed the time just to 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 1 to 3. 1 to 3. That's good. 1 to 3. $25, Miracles of Joy. We have so much fun. So if you are in or around the area, come play with us. We like to play and talk to spirit and just learn all that we can. Also, I was so excited because this week I hit 500 books sold. That's my little happy dance. So yeah, I researched it, and they say most self-published books only get to like 100 sold. So we're really good. It's 500 sold with not even a year yet. So super, super happy. So if you haven't got the book yet, it's You Can Be a Medium, How a Red Couch Led Me to Mediumship and Turned My Pain into Purpose. It's on Amazon. It's on sale right now for like $7. Go buy it. Enjoy. And yes, I also have a new podcast now on Bold Brave TV network that we are super excited about. It's every Friday at 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, 5 p.m. Eastern. And that show is just a little bit different. We talk about life journey. It's called The Soul's Journey on Bold Brave TV. And we talk about life, and we talk about some of the hard lessons that we've had to learn. Our first show was on adult-child estrangement. Our second show was on infant-child loss. So some really good things coming up on that show. So go follow over there, Bold Brave TV. You can follow them on Facebook, and I go live on their Facebook page on Fridays at 4 Central. And that's it. So what's on the show today, Ms. Cass?
Well, today we have Irene Weinberg, and she is. I'm actually super excited. She's going to come in and talk about all about grief and
She's got a really good story.
Yeah. All the things, and you know who can say this all better than me?
Irene,
hi, Tracy.
Before we kick it off, let me just say, everybody watching on Facebook, on YouTube, hit us with questions. So she's going to be answering questions. She doesn't do readings per se, but if you guys have questions for her, shoot them in the comments. She can see all the comments as well. Just let us know what you want to know, and we will ask her. All right. Sounds good. Okay. Hi, Irene. We are so excited.
How you doing?
Story. So I am just going to really kind of just kick it off to you to tell me what led you to this side of the world on the metaphysical realm, spirituality, awakening. How'd you get here, Miss T?
Well, everybody, you're looking at this baby boomer who thought this was all baloney. I did not believe in any of this. I was married to my second husband. We had been married about 18 years. We were very traditional in our beliefs. Did anyone ever really hear me or whatever? I had no idea. I followed whatever I'd been taught. My origin is Jewish, so whatever. To go to synagogue to pray, but did anyone hear me? I didn't know. And and we were skiers, and bringing up our blended family and all that kind of thing, and very thrilled and happy to have found each other. We were, surrounded by the typical dysfunctional stuff of lots of people, but we were great and had a really good relationship and all. And one day I'm washing dishes at my kitchen sink. We're married just about 18 years. I'm washing dishes at my kitchen sink, and which I guess you could say is sort of meditative.
It is.
So like I'm just going through this, and all of a sudden, now I don't believe in any of this. All of a sudden, this thought that's not my thought comes into my head, and the thought was, it was a message actually, and it was, Saul has to go. Many lessons will be learned from his death. Well, my husband was watching a football game in our family room, and I thought to myself, this is nuts. What am I thinking? And I filled a glass of water, and I took it to him, kissed the top of his head, gave him the glass of water, and put it out of my mind. I was like, this is crazy. What the heck am I thinking? But you never forget something like that.
No.
And 2 months later, we were coming home from a ski weekend on the New York State Thruway, and we were going about 72 miles an hour. We've been driving an hour and a half on the road, and I suddenly felt my car, Saul was driving, I suddenly felt the car go into a huge swerve. And as it did, I looked over, and Saul was sound asleep at the wheel. And I called out to him, and he woke up, and he saw what was happening, and he went to pull the car out of the swerve. And as he did, instead of righting itself, the car started flipping up into the air for the first of 4 flips, like we were in a gigantic roller coaster. And as it took off for the first flip, I got a second message that came into my head. And the second message said, he's not going to make it. You are. Now you got to imagine, I'm scrunched up like the car is starting to flip. I'm scrunched up into a ball, and I'm getting, he's not going to make it. You are. And later I'll tell you what this had to do. But as we took off, we hit hard, and then we took off again. And just in that second flip, there was like a blank space. I didn't feel like I was there in some way. I found out later that was a sort of a near-death experience that I had accompanied Saul to the other side, but I knew that I was supposed to stay. And so I came back into my body. I didn't realize what was happening at the time. There was like this blank space, and the car flipped a second time, then a third time, and then the fourth time, hitting really hard on the right side each time. And the fourth time, we slid into a ravine on the side of the New York State Thruway, and we were upside down. And I was conscious through everything. I did not know how badly I was hurt, but I was aware of everything except for that kind of blank space. And I looked over at my husband. I said, Saul, are you okay? And indeed, what I'd been told was true. His entire personality had left his body, and I was looking at the shell of my husband. There was nothing, I mean, it was amazing, just the raw who he was. And I realized in that moment that, oh my gosh, something is up. There's more to this here. It was like a real, oh my God, what's going on? And it changed. I immediately began to understand that there was more. And then I see a helicopter land. And we held up traffic on the thruway for 2.5 hours. It was such a bad accident. And I see a helicopter land, and these 3 guys, these EMTs, jump out of the helicopter, and they start rocking my car. And they got it right side up on the road. And as one of them put his hands through my shattered window, undid my seatbelt, turned me around, and started pulling me through my window, I got a voice came into my head, and the voice said to me, be loving, and it was a male voice, and it said, be loving and kind to everyone, as they laid me on the side of the road. Well, I don't know about you girls, but that tends to change your cells as they're multiplying, right? I mean, I'm like, oh my God, there's more to this. And the other thing I have to say, that was like all the spiritual stuff, and I can refer to this again later, but on the earthbound plane, the other thing is, as they were pulling me out of the car, and as I got that message, I also thought to myself, something is up. I don't know what this is, but I will get through this somehow, because I have to show my son. Saul was buried on my son's 21st birthday. I have to show my son that you can get hit by a grenade in life and keep on going. It was amazing, because right at that moment, I scripted myself that if I had to heal or whatever I was going to do, I didn't know what was coming up. But anyway, so they load me into a helicopter, and instead of saying, oh my God, I've lost my husband, the love of my life, and carrying on, instead I'm saying, what's your name? It's the weekend before. I was told to be loving and kind to everyone. What's your name? It's the weekend before Christmas. Thank you so much for all that you are doing to help me. And I was like so transformed and different. And they took me to an emergency trauma center in Poughkeepsie, New York. And as they wheeled me in, the doctor who was going to be the surgeon, stitching up an artery in the bottom of my right foot. I needed 2 blood transfusions. I lost an ACL in my knee. I had a reverse shoulder. My shoulder was reversed. My collarbone was reversed inside my shoulder. I had a detached retina. I mean, 4 major experiences. With, as they're loading me into the helicopter, and they take me to the trauma center, and they put me on the table. He says, I have quite a patchwork quilt to fix at the bottom of your leg, and I need to tell you that your husband is gone. And I said to him, Doc, I know. And I mean, again, I was so aware that I felt like Saul must be with me, and everything was different. And I said, I am the luckiest woman in the world that I had this wonderful man in my life. I mean, I was so different that 3 months after the accident, I got a call from the assistant to the surgeon who operated on me. And she said, Irene, I have to tell you, you changed lives in the emergency room that night. We have seen so many tragedies. No one ever reacted the way you did, with love and kindness and care. And there was a whole thing where my stepdaughter came in looking for my husband, and I had to tell her that her father was gone, and she fainted. And when they picked her up, I said, honey, you need to know I love you, and I will never hurt you. I was so aware, be loving and kind to everyone. I was like, it changed everything. But now I'm in the hospital for 3 days. I've had 2 blood transfusions. I'm in a cast. I'm in a wheelchair. I'm with crutches, you name it. And now I come home to grieving hell. And I am right on the earthbound plane with all the stuff and the cemetery and the arrangements and everything, and financial issues and all the traditional stuff. And all of that's going on. And I know something is up, but who's paying attention? And I don't know. And so I went through all of that. And then about 6 weeks after the accident, I just getting out of my wheelchair, and I got a call from my dry cleaner of all people. So as everyone listening can tell, I'm very, very friendly. I talk to everybody. I mean, I care about everybody. I ask them about.
She's never been a stranger. Yeah.
Really. So my dry cleaner called me and he said, Irene, I wouldn't tell this to a lot of people, but you seem very open-minded. Yeah. And I want to tell you that 8 years ago, my wife and I lost our son to a drug overdose, and we were inconsolable. And we spoke to all kinds of grief counselors and people, and no one seemed to be able to help us until we found out that there are people called mediums who can talk to the deceased on the other side. Yay! And he said, we're going to be seeing someone one day who's going to be very famous. And if you come with us in 2 weeks, maybe Saul will come through. I had no idea what he was talking about, but I knew something was up. Okay. So I'm out of the wheelchair. My car is totaled. There were pieces of my car on the thruway for 6 months after the accident. And maybe even beyond. They actually built a boundary, like a strip after that for where, as I had fallen through and all. But so now I go to this guy's house, which is my dry cleaner's home, which is 5 towns away from where I live. I'm telling you guys for a reason. It's 5 towns away, and I'm driving Saul's car. Okay. And I leave his car. I get out. I leave my crutches, my everything. I'm able to walk now, and I get out of my car, and I get into his car. So his car drives me to this event, and my car is sitting in the driveway of my dry cleaner. And I walk in, and the medium, who was not yet famous, was John Edward. Ooh. I mean, it didn't even. I was with my dry cleaner. Didn't even cost me anything. He said, "Hi, I'm glad to see you, but I don't even want to know anything about you." And I have no idea what I'm in for, Tracy. None. And I go upstairs and I sit down, and I'm nervous. I don't know what to expect. What's going to go on? And it was like Saul gave me about half an hour or so to see other amazing messages coming through to people. Okay. And then suddenly John Edwards said to me, I have a guy here, and he's talking about Dr. Pepper. Does anyone relate to Dr. Pepper? And this was before voice recorders. Yeah. So I elbowed my dry cleaner and I said, start writing. Oh my God, it's Saul. Because 15 years before he met me, Saul's brother, who was a big advertising executive on Madison Avenue, New York City, put Saul's name in a Dr. Pepper commercial. And the commercial says, Dr. Pepper is coming east from California in boats and trains and planes. And let's talk to the man on the street, Saul Weinberg, about what he thinks about Dr. Pepper. And Saul used to laugh like crazy and said, not John Doe, Joseph, my name. His brother busted him and he put his name in the commercial. How the heck could John Edward possibly know that? So now Saul comes through for 40 minutes. Even John Edward said to me, how long is this guy on the other side? And I said,
he likes to talk.
He said, this is an old soul. This guy's been around the block a lot. And the thing I want to tell you all that really blew my mind, aside from the fact that he said you're wearing a skier charm under your blouse, which I was, he says he's telling me he died in a different state than where you live. He died in New York State. We lived in New Jersey, on and on and on. Who he named each one of our kids. He also said, he's telling me you're driving his favorite car with Saul Z on the license plate. The Saul was a real estate developer in Hoboken, New Jersey, and he sold condos to yuppies, and the yuppies loved him so much they called him Uncle Saulsy. So he put Saulsy on his license, and this was parked like 5 towns away. Yeah. How the heck could John Edward possibly know that? So now I know, oh my God, there's more to this. Saul's on the inside. Oh my goodness, what's this all about? La, la, la. And I start opening up, and I don't tell anyone in my world, because in my world in 1997 to 1998, at that time, I would have really been deemed out of my mind. So I keep it a secret. I don't tell my kids or anything, but I start to see mediums and I start to see people, and I get a message over and over and over. There's a divine plan. You've been soulmates for many lifetimes. If certain things didn't work out for Saul in this lifetime, you had arranged that he would leave early and that you would carry on from this side of the veil and he would help you on the other side. Well, if you think I understood all of this, but I knew it was him. He described his toes to me through someone. He described the outfit he wore the night he died through someone. He described the first meal I ever made him, the way the first time we kissed each other. I mean, it was Saul. And I start getting a message. You're supposed to write a book. And part of our plan is you're supposed to write a book. I'm like, what book? I played the violin growing up. I was a buyer for Macy's. I was in real estate business. What book? I took on the tuition in high school and college, but well, guess what? When your husband describes his toes to you from the other side and he wants you to write a book,
you write a book.
You're going to write the book.
You're going to write the book.
Right. So I started, one thing led to another, and I was led to this woman who was able to channel him like he was right there next door. I went for a healing session with her, and I talk about it in my book, which is called They Serve Bagels in Heaven, and I'll tell you about that. But I was able to get all this information. I started asking him, what was it like when you crossed over? Are we really soulmates? What do you do about people who are evil? And he started answering me.
He did.
With all these questions, and the book started to evolve, and I was out there with the book, and then I thought, okay, I'm doing my job. This is part of my divine plan. Here I go. And then one day I was at my desk where everybody sees me now, and I get a message podcast. Now, if you think about it, I only got 3 messages. I mean, I don't get the messages like that. Yeah. And when I heard podcast, I said, oh, something's up. I'm supposed to. And then I asked my publicist who was working with me at the time, I said, what's a podcast? Because I'm a baby boomer. I didn't know what a podcast was. So she said, oh, I can help you with that. So now, Tracy and Cassie, I have another thing. Who I'm being told to interview. I mean, this was totally on faith. I knew it was him. And instead of saying, this is nuts, I said, all right, now who am I supposed to interview? And I thought, when he died, I've always been a big believer in therapy. I had a lot of issues growing up and a lot of grief and a lot of problems that I always went to counseling and therapists. I'm a big believer in healing. So I said, and I worked with a life transition coach. And then when I opened to the spiritual world, I worked with a spiritual energy healer. And oh my God, mediums saved my life because what was coming through. And so I decided I'm going to interview grief and trauma specialists, mediums, and people who've been through really hard times in their lives and managed to heal and come through it, because I had experienced that too. Yeah. And the name of the podcast now is Grief and Rebirth, as you guys know. And it's amazing how it is helping people. It's a bridge to healing. I interview these people, and I recently had a testimonial from a psychotherapist who said to me on YouTube, she said, Irene, I've been a psychotherapist for 30 years, and every time I listen to your podcast, I learn something new. And your passion for healing, please don't stop. The world needs this.
Wow, that was wonderful. Yeah.
So that's what I'm doing. I'm interviewing, and I'm meeting the most amazing, incredible, fascinating people who have been through incredibly difficult, challenging situations in their lives and have come through in very, very inspiring ways for a lot of people. So a lot of people go onto the podcast and they'll listen to 4 or 5 different mediums or healers and decide who's for them, because they have a problem and they want to, and I say, see who resonates with you.
Yes, absolutely.
That's like a nutshell of my story. I would like to tell people, if you really want to know why they serve bagels in heaven, it's on page 8 of my book.
Do they really serve bagels in heaven?
Actually, basically, when you cross over, I learned.
Okay, tell us.
When you get your life review, they acclimate you with something very familiar. So for Saul, his mother met him with coffee and bagels in heaven, because they can create that visualization before you begin to acclimate to the more universal view that's on the other side.
That's beautiful. Well, what advice would you tell people who are going through grief at the moment and don't see a way out? What would you tell them?
I would tell people to open up to healing, to healing possibilities, and to know, like in my particular situation, the thing that has inspired me the most is when they pulled me out of the car and I got the words, be loving and kind to everyone.
That's a great message.
And, you know, I also realized that meant me too.
Yes.
And the other thing that I thought about was about my son, that I have to get through this somehow, because I have to teach him and role model that no matter what you go through in life, you can come through it. So be loving and kind to everyone also means be loving and kind to yourself. So when you're grieving, it's the antithesis of what you want to do. You want to let yourself go. You're so upset. You're crying. You're having all your emotion. But the thing that's been the most rewarding for me is about 4 years after the accident, my son said to me one day, you know, Mom, there's been nothing worse than seeing you in total despair, and nothing better than seeing you be able to have joy again. And if you're grieving and crying and upset and going through all this stuff, it's really wise, be it through mediums or healers or whatever, but to get the help you need to get to the other side, because you're actually role modeling, not only for yourself, but for people in your life, that there's more to your life, more for you to do. And your loved one, as you would know, Tracy, is on the other side, and they're healing with you, and they're part of your life. I mean, Saul has come through so many times to say, I'm so aware of everything that's going on. And I even have a story. I was very estranged from my father when I had a really tough childhood and very, a lot of problems with my father. And actually, when he died, it was more like, well, you also, what took you so long? I mean, honestly, I always say there was not a wet eye at that funeral, right? He was not a good guy. And when I went but he was a troubled guy, which I've learned now to forgive him because of his background and all. That's been part of my healing. But when Saul first died, I once went into to see a medium, and the medium said to me, she described a man sitting on a chair, and it was my father. And I said to my father at the time, I didn't want to talk to my father. I wanted to hear from Saul. And I said to my father, Dad, get out of here. I don't want to hear from you now. And the message was, I'm so sorry. I have a different understanding of things now. Yeah. And I am so sorry. And please, I see what you're doing. And please don't stop, because as you heal, I'm healing on the other side, and I'm learning on the other side, which changed my whole concept. Like, not only when you heal from your grief and all that, and it's not that you heal, that you never, believe me, I miss Saul to this day all the time, but the grief changes.
It changes,
It changes within you. And in a way, your loved one becomes a part of you, and they're also around you. And you can use that new wisdom and the new way you're moving forward to benefit so many people. If it's creating a foundation in honor of your loved one, or if it's finding a new life path for you, or if it's, I mean, I have, the biggest thing to me for what's happened is I'm not afraid to die anymore.
No, not afraid.
That I will see Saul and my loved ones again. And I know that what this lifetime is about is really being loving and kind to everyone. And by the way, that doesn't mean being loving. You can separate out from toxic people too. That's part of being loving yourself. But it's more about the quality of my life and taking care of myself till that time when Saul meets me. I've told him, you better. That's it. and I cross over, and
he'll be there. He'll be those bells on. He'll be there.
I expect a party with champagne. Come on.
Yes, absolutely.
But, so,
it's a big reason for me.
but that, that's basically, I mean, am I my podcast has helped so many people. I have, which I'm very humbled by because it's a divine plan and it's something that was given to me, but to do, and I followed through. I have people who have lost children. I have people who have lost all kinds of people going through deep grief, and they say they wait every week for the podcast to come through because it's giving them so much hope and it's inspiring them to go on.
I think it's perfect because a lot of people, when they experience death and loss, they get really angry. They get angry at God. They get angry of why, right? There was really a God. Why would they take them? Like Saul was pretty young for his age.
He was 58 years old.
So, right. So it's like, why? I can't imagine. Like, why would you take him? So it's really interesting for you to go through the healing part, be on the other side of it, and can see the bigger picture in play, right? There was a whole plan in place.
Tracy, when they said Saul has to go, many lessons will be learned from his death. Oh my gosh. Look at including with the podcast now, people continue to learn from it, but it changed my life. It changed the lives of a lot of people around us.
Yes.
You know, he did his job. He was here and it was his time. It was, if certain things didn't work out, it was his time.
It was his time.
And he's fine. He's on the other side. He's fine.
He's on the other side, fine. Yeah, I lost my dad at 19. He was only in his 40s when he passed away. But looking back now, I mean, that was part of the whole plan for me. Like, right? I wouldn't be doing this work if he wouldn't have passed away. I wouldn't be doing this work if I haven't gone through some of the things I went through. So I think it's all divinely planned and timing.
I see it all as, you know, with all the pain that there is on the planet now, we are all light workers helping people understand that the total surface part that we're seeing is a distortion, and we're helping to raise the vibration and helping people to understand that there's more and live with your lives with more love and kindness to others, to themselves. I want to tell a great story that I have that I really want to share with people because I'm seeing so wonderful comments coming through, and thank you all so very much because I'm so humbled that I can be this vehicle to help people like this. When we first had the accident, I can't say I lost him because he's in my life, but you know, I'll be from the other side now. But when the accident first happened, and my life transition coach was like, we're going to figure out who Irene is without Saul. I don't want to be without Saul. You're going to have to learn, and this is the way you're going to grow. Blah blah blah. I started to work for a while with a medium, and I was a business manager. She was really wonderful. And one day we opened up a territory in Vermont, and we walked into a Holiday Inn in Vermont, and there was a gallery, you know, where people gather together, and the medium brings forth messages to people in the group. Okay, so we walked into this room. There were 35 people in the room, and neither one of us had ever seen or met anyone in the room. And as we walked in, there was a girl crying. She was like in her mid-20s, and she was crying. She was hysterical, crying in the front of the room. And the medium walked to the front of the room, and she said to her, I'm getting a father energy, and I'm getting that your father is telling me that the night before he unexpectedly died, he suddenly died, that you two had a terrible fight and you said horrible things to each other. And he said he's saying he's so sorry. He loves you. He should have never called you those names. He's really, really sorry. He hopes you forgive him, and vice versa. The difference, the transformation in that wailing, hysterical person when we walked miles, and the healing that was going on when she was able to hear from her father that way was like, for me, it was transformative because it made me, I really understood. I had gotten in so much help from mediums and all. And then there's a whole conversation about how do you trust someone and discernment, all that. And I ask a lot of questions on my podcast so that people get to know who this person is, so that they can trust them. But the truth is that it made me very conscious about how I treat people and what I say to people. Because, well, if I were to cross over tomorrow, I want the people who are in my life to know that I love them, that I'm grateful for them,
Yeah.
I'm not going to insult them and be rude to them and nasty because I want to leave them with love. And I became very conscious of that. That's not to say that people can roll over me or whatever, but it's the way you become conscious to start to handle yourself in a different way because you're more aware.
You're more aware, right?
Picture, right, Tracy?
Yeah.
You're much more aware.
You're much more aware. Yes, I think it's a perfect message. Be kind and loving to everybody through everything.
And to yourself. Like I've run into people who are toxic, and I don't get into I don't get into drama anymore.
Me neither. I think there's a saying called "You don't have to participate in every fight you're invited to." That's true.
That's right.
No, I do not.
Exactly. So it changes the way, changes the way you. I like to say it changes your angle on the dangle. It changes the way you look at life, and for me anyway, if I have an interaction, sometimes I go, is this challenging situation something I'm supposed to be learning about this, and how am I choosing to handle it, and how is it going to impact people, and what role model am I setting? I'm very aware of that now.
I am too, and I think I've just kind of gone through that too. It's like I'm really in search of peace. Like that's it. I want peace in my life, and if you can't bring peace, then I'm gonna probably not participate. But that's what it's all about. In all of your work, I have a question. Since all of your work and all of your interviews, have you come up with why we're here? What's our purpose?
Well, we all have a purpose. Like your purpose, you choose your purpose from what I've learned from interviewing so many people. We have many different purposes. You can choose your purpose that you simply want to learn how to love or how to parent. And there are other people who have a purpose that's much larger. And a lot of it has to do with, we have past lives. I didn't know that, but I do surely know it now. And Saul channeled some of our fascinating past lives that we've had. And he even channeled in the book, he even channeled what the world will be like in 300 years when we come back together. He was even able to tell me that. And honestly, it's amazing because if you read what he said, you see the seeds of it today already forming in the world we have today. But we do have past lives. And depending on what's gone on in our past lives, we the karma that we collect is an energetic imprint of things that follow us and that often need to be resolved. So someone's purpose in a life could simply be that I did this, I got my life review, and I had this happen in this past life, and this is the lifetime where I'm coming back with certain people to heal what happened, to heal that issue that fear I got from that lifetime, or that anxiety I pulled from that lifetime, or whatever that is. That could be that simple to work something out with someone. And other people have grander purposes. And the other thing I've learned is don't judge a person's purpose or where they're at by the janitor in your kid's school could be the wisest, most amazing, most enlightened person. And he's the guy who's like really comforting people and being there. And he's an evolved soul who's decided to come through. And this is how he's doing service in this lifetime. And you can have very, very, very wealthy people who you think have everything. They're younger souls who are just learning in this lifetime, and they happen to have our guests in this lifetime. I learned not to judge. I learned,
I meet people where they're at right now. I don't try to bring them along my journey. I just meet them where they're at because I know they're part of a bigger plan too, right?
Right, absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of people say now that the vibration on the planet is rising and we're going to a higher dimension. So a lot of stuff is getting shaken out. If you look at it that way, you kind of see life more as a witness as opposed to getting knee deep in the drama.
Yes.
Would you agree with that?
I do agree with that. I know for my own personal life, it's been shaking out for sure.
Right.
It's been a tough couple of years for sure. Right. As we move into all this new stuff. I wanted to ask you too, like, I love the title, They Serve Bagels in Heaven. So is the whole book about your love story with your husband and how you overcame it?
Well, first of all, I describe what happened to me and how, like, it was like so unbelievable. And in the book, Saul came through to describe what it was like for him on the other side during the accident, what he saw, and the angels he saw gathered around and everything like that, and his experience of what happened when he got to the other side. He also described what it was like for him to cross over. And then he described how his mother greeted him. And then he talks about his life review. He said, I was a very good person in this lifetime, but it wasn't like I was a perfect person. And I got to see a lot of that. And I think that those are the things where when you come back, you go, I think I want to work on that aspect in my next lifetime or whatever. And then he started talk. This was the most amazing thing and how I knew it was him. I started working with this woman, and she channels, like, there are some very well-known channels, and he was coming through and she'd sit at the keyboard. Like, remember, I didn't believe in all this at one time. And I'm asking a question and she's sitting at the keyboard of her computer, and like, it's like water. It's just coming through and she's typing away. And at one point, and I still had a healthy skepticism. Okay. And at one point, she said to me, he's telling me that you had a past life where he was, and believe me, by the way, I talk about my orientation in this lifetime is Jewish, and I'm going to tell you about a Jewish lifetime. But he also told me we've been Italian Catholics in a lifetime, and I've been a boy in a lifetime. So we take on different roles. But so while she was channeling, she said, I'm asking him. He's telling me that you were a little boy, and he was a rabbi in what was called a school called a yeshiva in ancient Israel. And that you were this cute little boy and you were in his class, and he's describing you, and I'm asking him, she was Methodist. She had never heard a word of Hebrew in her life. And I'm asking him what your name was in that lifetime. And I'm getting a really strange response. I've never heard this before. Mm-hmm. And it sounds, but he keeps saying you were such a good boy. And he's saying your name was Yeled Tov. And I was like, oh my God, Yeled Tov is Hebrew for a good little boy.
No way.
Yeah. So that's how I knew this was real. There was no way. He was saying he called me the Yeled Tov in that lifetime. And then I found out my name was Reuben and his name, was Shlomo and whatever. But it was like so amazing. I was like, okay, this is the real deal. I'm not going to fight with it. This is it. And then she talked about how we segued to different lifetimes, which all had lessons for us to learn. And then there were lifetimes I had without him, because I told him I need this lifetime to grow for one reason or another on my own. Okay. And there's a lifetime where I was in the Holocaust. I saved a little boy's life, and then I have had a lot of lifetimes where I was raped and killed and all kinds of things. It's been a blast. But he talked about all of that and the lessons that were learned, and even where we had a lifetime where I was our little boy and I were killed and all that. And he talked about that when he finally got to the other side, how he dealt with the people who raped and killed me and the little boy, and what it took for him to get to forgiveness for his soul growth, to eventually let that go and to understand where those people were coming from when all of that happened. So he talks about that. And then he also, we go into, in the book, I go into the whole thing that I went through, like channeling him and all of that kind of thing, the lessons that I learned, the questions that I asked him. And the book is, and he's very funny. He's got a tremendous sense of humor. Yeah. It gets sexy in a few places too. And then it moves you along to his prediction of what our lives would be like when we get together again in maybe 300 years. And it's amazing, because the focus in the future will be to people are so much, and this was written in 2000 or so. He said that people will be so attached to their email that they will lose social skills, and that there will be classes and a consciousness about teaching people how to deal with confrontation, teaching people how to deal with different social skills and all. And that will be part, and there'll be a tremendous awareness with climate change and all different kinds of things. It's fascinating to read that. And you can see the roots of it now. You can see the seeds. I can see the seeds of it going on now.
Yes. Well, I think it's beautiful that you guys did that together and worked through that together. What did he say happens to the bad people? I want to know.
Their soul development is suspended until everyone they affected has been able to heal. So some people the soul is going to probably be in a tree or something through eternity, right? But they cannot go on with their soul development, and they get to feel and experience everything they did in their life review to other people.
We do. Okay. So that's kind of their hell, right?
That's sort of their hell. And
That's
that will land on different planes depending on, and it's not a punishment, but depending on your vibration and what you've done in your life, you land up. For instance, my mother passed about 2 years ago. And I had this amazing, I happened to have an appointment with a medium just for fun. I had made it 4 months before she passed. And the appointment was, she passed at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and the appointment was 5:30 in the afternoon. And my mother came through her, like, the medium had no idea that, it was my mother and all of this kind of thing. And it was so different for me because I wasn't as upset as everyone else that my mother had passed and all of that kind of thing, right? But I'm going back to what your question was. It was about evil. So one of the things that my mother, when she crossed over, I said to her, because I've said my father was not the easiest, and I said, so Mom, when I had this communication with her through a medium, I said, so have you seen my father? And she said, I'm not ready to go to where he is yet. So what she was saying is that he's on a lower plane than she is. Her vibration took her to a higher plane, and he couldn't go up to see her, but she could go down to see him.
Okay.
And see him and work things out with him. And it's not a punishment. He just couldn't take that higher vibration because of the life he lived here.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Does that make sense?
So
as we evolve, we go to a higher plane.
Vibrations, higher planes. Yeah.
Our vibration expands. And that's kind of an exciting reason to evolve, wouldn't you say?
I think so. Yeah, I've never heard it put that way. So that's really interesting. What do they say they do on the other side? Are they just learning, growing?
They have jobs. They're learning. My soul at one point told me that he was greeting children as they were crossing over. There's a lot of times sometimes, the thoughts you get in your head, they're mentoring you. They're putting ideas in your head to help you.
I believe that. Yeah.
They're working with you. People who are very damaged, when they get to the other side, there are healing places on the other side. And all kinds of spiritual beings work with them to help them to heal. Then I guess it's their decision when they want to come back or not, or if they want to take a different path or what they want to do to complete their evolving, to complete what they want to do, their healing. Wow. This is an adventure coming here. This is school. That's home.
That's home, right?
That's home. This is school. We're all here to learn lessons, and some of the lessons are not easy. This is school. And so that's why mind setting. What am I learning from this lesson? Why am I going through this? Who is this person in my life? Am I learning something from this? Even maybe it means I'm learning that I'm not going to let that abuse in my life or whatever it is. That's for your soul growth.
That is crazy. We have one question from Melody Martinez. I'm going to put it up and we'll let you answer it.
I lost a dear friend 6 months ago. Can you tell me if he is with me? Melody, I myself am not a medium, but Tracy probably can. But I really, but you could also go to Grief and Rebirth podcast, and I have interviewed about over 200 people, and there are wonderful mediums. Hopefully, Tracy one day too. There are wonderful mediums on my podcast. And they have all kinds of information. Yeah. And I am sure your dear friend, I can tell you from my heart, your dear friend is with you, and very happy that you're listening to this and that this is going to help you grow. There's no accident that you're here.
None. And I would say the same thing, Melody. No accident. You're here, and the way spirit works, I feel when you think of them, they come. They're always around. There's a consciousness, right? And so when your consciousness connects to theirs, they're right there. So when you're thinking of them, they are around you always. Okay.
Right.
So yeah, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Tracy.
No, I'm just telling her. I'm sorry you lost your friend. All right.
Yeah, I'm really sorry too. That I really, Melody, I truly have. And then I'm seeing from Lori, she said, when is your podcast on? You can subscribe to it, Lori, through any podcast channel you get. It's everywhere. So you can listen to old episodes. You can listen to the new episodes, and new episodes drop once a week. And they can drop in your inbox. You can find them, on YouTube, on Stitcher, on wherever you go for your podcast. Grief and Rebirth, Finding the Joy in Life, Irene Weinberg. I'm everywhere now. It's amazing.
And Lori lost a daughter, so she would probably get good use of that podcast.
Absolutely.
And earlier in the show, I did drop the link to Irene's website as well, and that site will take you directly to her podcast, directly to her book and everything like that. So I just wanted everybody to know it is there in the comments for you. So
we'll use up the rest of the time. We have so many questions coming in. I'll let you pick.
It's IreneWeinberg.com.
Yes.
So just so you know, stumbled upon your podcast, and it was such a blessing for me. Michelle, you're a blessing for me too. Thank you. Thank you so much. That really means a lot.
Brenda has one about finding feathers. I've been finding feathers recently and wonder who these are being sent from.
That's a very common and a very illicit way that spirit lets you know they're around you. People have different ways they come through. And I am sure a medium like Tracy could probably find that out for you and find out who's sending you those feathers. And you may even have a sense of it yourself.
And usually you do. It's whoever you're most connected to is usually the one leaving them around. Yeah.
And for some reason, feathers seem to probably resonate with you for some reason. And that's the sign you're getting. Some people get signs in birds coming to visit them, or animals coming to see them. Butterflies are common. I am able to speak to Saul through a pendulum. That really works well for me.
Yeah, I have my pendulum tonight too. Do you want me to ask Brenda if it's Meg? Is it the same Meg that I know? Do we all know this Meg, or is it a different Meg?
She said she feels it may be her friend Meg who has passed.
So let me just ask, could the feathers be from her friend Meg? And I got a yes. So there you go.
There you go.
And I was just going to add that as well, that since we're asking about the feathers, feathers were a very big deal to Meg as well. So that's definitely something that she could be using to communicate with you.
Yeah. Nice. Lori's is butterflies and dragonflies. Yeah, y'all.
And butterflies and dragonflies are like for transformation.
Yes. I would say to you, y'all, this is such a magical life and a magical place to be in. And I know you guys have gotten here through loss. But man, once you can plug in and once you believe in it, it is just so, so, so magical. I mean, I'm just in awe every single day. I've been seeing
muskrats are a sign.
I don't know. I would Google. Typically, muskrats aren't a sign from spirit, but I would Google spirit animal muskrat. It may be a spirit animal or something to do with a message for you that they're trying to get across to you. So I would Google that, spirit animal muskrat, and see if the message aligns with you, for sure. Yeah, I think there was another one up further. Let me see if I can see some comments really quick before we have a few minutes. Lori, thank you, ladies, for Melody, finding feathers. Oh yeah, Cassie, is there a standard statement that you share with people who are skeptical? No, because you know what? I don't try anymore. At first, in the beginning, I always wanted to fight that battle, but now I choose not to participate in that invite.
You know what? How I look at it, Tracy? They'll find out when they cross over.
Yeah.
If they need to be skeptical in this lifetime, and that's their thing, and they don't want to learn. Maybe they're not as evolved.
Yeah. And typically I say most people need an experience. And until you have an experience, you're probably not going to believe. But undoubtedly, once you have an experience that you cannot explain, then you'll be on board, right? And a lot of times people don't get that experience until someone really close to them passes away. And then all of a sudden now there's this need to want to know more, right? So
or
that's
even if they pass away and they're so attached to their traditions and their rituals and all this, and or they've been taught that this is not a good thing, they don't want to know. They'll find out when they cross over. They go, they get a universal view. They get their life review. And that, holy moly, okay, you know.
I can't tell you how many times Spirit will come back and tell them they were right. This is all real, right? It happens all the time. Me and my girlfriends had a pact when we all died. If someone died and they came back through, they had to say that my cloud was the right cloud because we all had different beliefs. So I'm still waiting for someone to pass and come back and tell me whose cloud was the right one, right? And that's another thing too. There's so much out there. I think our experiences create our belief system, and we are led to believe based on our experiences. And there's so many experiences out there. And maybe you're meant to believe a certain way because that's what's going to help you through this lifetime. I don't know the bigger picture, right? And I don't think we all know what's 100% right. We're not really going to know. And I tell my students in my classes, I say, look, I'm going to teach you, but I really don't know how this works. And I won't know until I die, right? I really won't know for 100% sure. I think I know how it works because I'm doing it. I'm having these experiences, but 100% I won't know until I die. And so that's just kind of my statement. Mm-hmm.
You know what's interesting though, Tracy? A lot of people, and I interview them, have had near-death experiences, and they give you really great picture because they've been on the other side and they've experienced things, and then they come back, and they always come back transformed. And that little blank space that I was saying, like on the second flip, I've been told that I don't have tremendous memories of actually going over, but I know I left my body for a little touch of time. That was a little bit of a near-death experience that I had too. And I came back transformed from this whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Lori says, my experience with Jenny and Lori made me a believer. Oh, I'm so happy for you. I am so glad.
And I just want to point out B's comment. She said before we end the show, she just wants Tracy to know that she read your book and that she loved it. And chapter 5 made her want to be a medium.
Wow, that's wonderful.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. You don't know how much I needed that. So thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that for sure. There's another comment. Hello, I've been seeing the number 2 a lot in red birds lately. Is that a sign of anything? Oh yeah, absolutely. Especially the red birds. The cardinals are a known spirit animal, but the 2 as well. You know, numbers could be a sign, especially if they're repeating numbers. Like, was that someone's favorite number? Could it be an angel message, right? So just keep noticing if you're seeing the number 2 or a series of 2, I would definitely make note of that. I would Google angel numbers and see if that's a message for you. The birds are a definite message from spirit. Definitely. It's a magical world out there, y'all, when you tap in and you become aware, you become present, right? And you just start seeing all this magic. It's beautiful.
Not only that, when you become totally aware, synchronicities, coincidences, you start to be really aware of how they're helping you and how you're being guided.
Yes. You gotta learn how spirit speaks, and they'll speak to you for sure. What a great show, Irene. Thank you so much. What a blessing you are to so many. Again, where's her podcast? Where can people find her?
IreneWeinberg.com, WEINBERG.com. And the podcast is Grief and Rebirth, Finding Joy in Life.
Got it. Thank you.
Oh, say hello, everyone. Come on and say hello. Give us your comments, feedback.
One more last comments before we end. Could you have a cardinal as a spirit guide or animal totem? Yeah, it's possible. Yeah, anything's possible. Mm-hmm. They use animals. They use anything you're seeing over and over and over. There's a reason why. Oh, she goes, I'll be on Amazon tonight ordering 2 books. Yay, Lori.
Thank you, Lori.
Lori. Don't have my book yet, Lori. Shame. Go get it.
My book is called They Serve Bagels in Heaven.
They Serve Bagels in Heaven. And mine is You Can Be a Medium. So so we're out of time. It is right at the top of the hour. So thank you again, Irene, for being on the show. Cassie, Cassie, where can people find you?
People can find me at Stargazers Unite, stargazersunite.com. and then Stargazers Unite across all social media platforms.
Perfect. And then for me, you can find me as the Red Couch Medium on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube under the Red Couch Medium. I'm Tracy Escobar. We want to thank you all for joining us, especially our people who come every single week and support our show. Go check out my new show on Fridays on Bold Brave TV Network. I need some support over there as well. We love you, and we'll see you next time. Take care, everybody. Bye.